And there I am. Hold on, I messed up there. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Incredichat. It's been a while, but we're here, and hopefully some people will be joining us in a bit tonight. But either way, you can watch us live here now, or of course we'll be streaming on YouTube. So come and check it out. We're gonna get things started right away tonight. So let's welcome in our guest. He's a very talented. I gotta say I love the art, and we'll talk more about this in a minute. Welcome to our tonight's show, Dave Gordon. I'm gonna put us up there bigger so we look good. Hey, welcome, Dave. Good to see you again.
You too, Mike. Thank you for having me.
No, this is great. I met you, just for everybody who tunes in and watches this later on. So we met probably 2-3 weeks ago up at Gary Somer's Northeast Comic Con up in Boxborough, Massachusetts, which is a cool little show. I enjoy going there. I know you've been there a couple of times. You said, right?
Yeah.
It's a kitschy show. It's a family show. That's what I tell people. You go there and you make friends.
Yes. Yeah.
But we met there, and we did a panel together, and you were sharing and you were selling your book here, which is volume 1 or number 1 of Being Gordy, a situation comedy, which I think is awesome and a fun concept. So I guess we're just going to jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself and Being Gordy and where it came from, and then we'll talk some more about the book as we go.
Okay. So yeah, I launched Being Gordy exactly a year ago. My story goes, for the better part of 20 years, I was chasing syndicated newspaper. I was chasing daily newspaper syndication. That was the original goal with Being Gordy.
Gotcha.
And in the 2000s and the 2000 teens, or whatever you call that little decade, I almost got syndicated twice. First by Universal Press, and then the Washington Post Writers Group. They were both only a few years apart, and basically the internet came, affected the newspaper industry, and syndication just went right down the toilet for comic strips. It just became this impossible thing.
Well, let me just ask you a little bit about that. So you were talking about the syndicated market, and I don't know if everybody knows, because doing a comic strip is a lot different than doing a comic book, right? Because a comic book, you're either working for an independent company or one of the big ones. When you're working for a syndicate, what's really the benefit of being in one of the syndicates?
The benefit is you're going national, and they're going to use their sales team to try and get you in every newspaper possible across the country, and then possibly globally.
Yeah.
A strong example would be Peanuts.
Yeah.
Okay. That strip was in over 2,000 papers.
Wow.
Yeah. So, it's very lucrative. It's the exposure is phenomenal. That was my original goal growing up. Junior high school and high school, we're talking about late 70s and the early 80s. Everything, it was pre-internet. Newspapers were relevant, and Doonesbury and Bloom County were the two biggest things in my life. I read those comics every single day, and I said, it was just such a sophisticated form of cartooning.
Yeah.
I've never seen, that's why those strips were so successful. And I looked at that and I said, I want to do that.
Gotcha. And
I had an earlier version of Being Gordy, and I was toying around with it. I did it daily when I was in college for 3 years. So that was a really good training ground.
Did you have it in the college newspaper?
Yeah, UMass Daily Collegian, readership of 30,000 daily.
Oh, wow. So how
Yeah.
many strips did you do for the college newspaper then?
How many strips did I do? Well,
Oh, wow.
I did it for 3 years, so that was 6 semesters,
Okay.
daily, 5 days a week, and I
Okay.
took it pretty seriously, and a local press recognized it and offered to do a reprint book with me. So by the time I graduated, I had my first reprint book under my belt.
So you didn't have that, because you're saying this. I'm like, oh my gosh. So there's a whole other back history to it. So I
Oh, yeah.
guess, is the book available still,
Um,
or it's coming
well,
back out?
it's I mean, I've got a couple boxes hidden in my storage shed. I'll give you one in March when
There
I
you
see
go.
you.
No,
I
but I
should
mean,
prob
it's
I
cool
should
that you
probably
have
put a
that.
few on the table, but,
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I didn't even know about that. So that's
you
really
know.
cool. So you've been with these characters for quite some time then.
Well, no. Gordy has always been the central character. Paige and Max came later.
Okay.
So in the college version, there was a different supporting cast.
All right.
And then just toward the I would say the last half of those comic strip years, 8 to 10 years, that's when Max and Paige really developed.
Gotcha.
And I had this trio. And just as I was about to move away from it, I realized I was doing something. I wasn't just happy telling a gag,
Oh,
a bigger story. And I didn't realize yet just how much situation comedy was having an influence on me. I
gotcha.
was writing stories, I was writing a sitcom, and I didn't know it yet. But I called it a sitcom in comic strip form. I then jumped and did a graphic novel version, but it wasn't ready. It wasn't my time. There were too many mistakes. I
Gotcha.
did a pretty brave thing. I shelved it. I just said this,
Huh.
it was a learning ground. I really don't want this to see the light of day. And then
Gotcha.
about a year or so before COVID came along, I was walking around here in my studio and trying to figure out, my next move.
Mhm.
And I heard this, I swear to God, I heard this little voice in my head say, "Hey, dummy, just go write your damn TV show." I
There you
never
go.
fully delivered, or it just, the whole situation comedy concept or identity really just suddenly blasted to the forefront. I felt I never delivered on that. And now it was time to put up or shut up. And I sat down and I
Mhm.
started writing, and it just creatively, it just took off. Um, I couldn't stop writing. I let myself write outlines and episodes for like a year. And then
Mhm.
finally about 2 years, I think it was about 2 years ago, right at this time, around Christmas time, I forced myself to stop. I had already chosen what the pilot episode was going to be.
Mhm.
And uh, the week before Christmas and New Year, all I did was lay out the first issue of Being Gordy, page by page, and then
Interesting.
penciling, inking, lettering, all that fun stuff. I
Interesting.
wrapped it up late summer a year ago. Um, Launched a Kickstarter to support it,
Mhm.
try and find some new readers and whatnot, because I'd been out of it for so long. And my friends in the industry were telling me, yeah, do a Kickstarter. It's a great way to find total strangers who are interested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
It was successful, um, and I did it a little differently with the first issue. When I launched the Kickstarter, the issue it wasn't printed, but it was completely done.
Mhm.
So that basically only 2 or 3 weeks after the Kickstarter was over, the thing was in print. I just went right to press. I didn't use like one of the online comic book printers that so many people use. My day job has been in both publishing and advertising as a graphic designer and an art director. So I know printing. And when I did an estimate of the online printers, I also contacted a few of my Massachusetts printers I know, and they matched it. So I went with them. I was able to have complete quality control in terms of the paper stocks, and I could approve of proofs and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to so many of my peers who just get screwed over by a bad publishing run or a bad print run with these online printers.
Well, and I think that's one of the key things too, is when you do, because I mean, looking at your book, I mean, you have a solid book here.
Yeah,
and like you said, and again, being in this comic world, you see there's a lot of good and the bad, as you say. So I mean, definitely, I guess having that background in publishing certainly helped you out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It felt good to really just have quality control over the entire thing. So when that final product was in my hands, I could look at it and go, yeah, okay, it's right, it's ready.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I made that leap from, let's see, comic strip to graphic novel to what it is now, which is a independent, a self-published independent comic book series. Every issue will be a standalone episode.
Okay.
I'm not into. I hate buying a comic and then it says to be continued, and you got to wait.
You forget about it. I mean, certainly for an independent, it may be a while, but even if it's one of your monthly books, you still have to wait a month.
Exactly.
Find out when that next story is. That was one of the things when as a young comic fan, I'm sure probably you.
Yeah.
Same thing. You'd buy. Most of us have a stack of comics we get from the comic store. So you're trying to maintain like 10 to 15 different stories to be continued next month.
Exactly. And good luck remembering all that,
Yeah.
So every issue of Being Gordy is going to be a self-standing issue, or I call them episodes, like a TV show, because I'm thinking of it that way. I'm writing it that way. And the interesting thing is, I decided every episode, just to make things fun and interesting for me, every episode, or more or less every episode, is going to be an homage or pay homage to one of my favorite sitcoms of the past.
Gotcha.
The very first issue, the pilot, I talk about the Odd Couple.
That's what I was just going to ask. I was going to say, where were you getting some of your inspiration? And I mean, obviously, it's very evident here about the Odd Couple, because I mean, there you got Klugman and Randall in there.
Yep.
So that's the game plan is, and I guess we'll talk a little bit about that. What shows are you going to be pulling from this? But Odd Couple, why was that your first choice of sitcom to go with?
It's definitely in my top 5 of favorite sitcoms. I have a lot of favorites, but the top 5, and it's only because they're the ones that influenced me the most.
Gotcha.
And the Odd Couple was probably one of the very early ones. The Odd Couple, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and the Bob Newhart Show.
Great shows.
Yeah, those, I would probably put those at my top 3. And then the other 2 came a little later, Frasier and Will and Grace.
All right.
Just because the writing was just, spectacular.
Gotcha. And kind of like a lot of, Odd Couple not so much, but the other shows kind of like ensemble pieces too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the reason why I always saw, there are two different types of sitcoms. There's the type like I just mentioned, like the Mary Tyler Moore Show, shot in front of a live studio audience. And then there's a single camera sitcom like Bewitched or Modern Family.
Yep.
No audience. They're shooting it like a film. It's a lot easier to produce. But the thing about shows like the Mary Tyler Moore Show, the Bob Newhart Show, that traditional 3-camera sitcom shot in front of a live studio audience. It's this perfect little fusion of
Yeah.
theater
Mm.
and television.
Yeah.
And to do that, the writing, I mean, yeah, the casting, the acting, but the writing has to be really, really hard hitting
Yeah.
to be successful. And when you look at the shows that were produced that way, other ones, Cheers, Seinfeld,
I'm thinking, I've been
Everybody Loves Raymond.
I've been thinking like back in the 70s too. I've been watching some of them now, like shows like The Jeffersons, All in the Family, What's Happening, Good Times.
Okay.
Like take like All in the Family. They really don't leave that living room very often. Maybe to
Yeah.
the kitchen, maybe someplace else. The writing is important.
The Norman Lear sitcoms are not in my list only because if you look at what he did, All in the Family, The Jeffersons, Sanford and Son,
Yeah.
Maude, it's like, how do you even choose a favorite there?
Oh, of course.
They're
all good.
One day at a time. I mean, more than any other TV producer, what he delivered, the legacy he left is just amazing. I just, among my other favorites, it's just like, anything Norman Lear put out, it's just so socially relevant on top of everything else.
Yeah, any of those shows would still work today. 100%.
They totally hold up. Yeah.
It's like, wow, he saw into the future in a way. But going back to what you're saying, those are more good examples of like that show, like you're saying, like doing it was live theater because they were not changing set pieces very often.
Yeah. And I just when I started thinking about being Gordy that way, at least in my head, I'm writing it, I saw my characters develop in a way I never saw previously.
Yeah.
Having my characters constantly sitting in a diner talking,
Yeah.
or in Gordy's living room. There are certain locations that will always be, and a few different ones, of course. Throw in a few left curves here and there. But I just I love the format, and once I fully realized its influence on me, that's when, at least creatively, things just took off for me.
Yeah, and I think going back to this whole idea of writing it like a sitcom, writing it like in set locations, like a diner, like a living room, like you're really working to force yourself to develop more character and flesh out these characters than worry about like the gags that you might be getting from the different locations they may be in.
Exactly.
So you're creating a norm, because I mean, think about our own lives, right? We go out and about to our jobs or out to the stores and stuff, but I mean, the majority of our time is at home. So so that's where all of our stories or at work, you can take like a Mary Tyler Moore show kind of thing. It's a workplace comedy, right? And that's where their stories take place, so that's cool.
What I'm calling season 1 of Being Gordy is going to, including the pilot, is 6 episodes. I'm working aggressively on issue 2 as we speak. I'm taking a hard left turn for the homage on that one.
Okay.
I had the story I wanted to tell, and there was a show I loved, but it wasn't in front of a live studio audience. It was the single camera.
Okay.
It's just something I grew up on. F Troop.
Oh wow. Okay.
I loved F Troop. It only lasted 2 seasons, but I would come home from school as a little kid, watch the reruns, and I had this story, and I really wanted to tell it. So issue 2 is an homage to F Troop. Issue 3, I get down to basics. Issue 3 is going to be my homage to the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Okay.
And I'm really excited about that because there's one scene in the episode where I have my one of Gordy's 2 friends, Paige, this woman, Paige. She's sitting in a New York coffee shop, and she overhears these 2 women talking at the table next to her. We don't see them, but we see Paige's expressions on her face as she's overhearing their conversation.
Okay.
And the two women, I identify each other when they're talking as Mary and Rhoda.
I knew you were going to go there.
I wrote my fantasy Mary Tyler Moore Show scene.
Yeah. That's great.
Let's see, issue 4. I gotta look at. Oh God, issue 4. I'm pretty proud of. When I get to it.
So you've already broken down kind of the stories of where you're headed for the first season, if you will.
It's been a weird year in that after I released the first issue, just creatively the floodgates just. I really thought all I'd be doing is just, okay, now it's time to do issue 2. And I started, but then I started getting all these ideas and inspirations for, the other season 1 episodes. So I would, I work organically. I don't want to lose anything. So when inspiration hits, I got to shift, get it all down.
Yeah.
So, I've got literally the covers for all 6 issues in some kind of process.
Okay.
There's no reason I should have a full manuscript for issue 4 right now, but I have it because it just came, which is my Star Trek homage.
All right.
Yeah. I take a few weird turns.
You're honoring classic TV, and that's great. So
I'm honoring classic TV. Yeah. My sixth and final episode in season 1, I take a really weird left turn, but it just the story was inspired by that episode of The Waltons where their house burns down.
Oh my gosh.
And I was a bit of a twisted kid when I saw it, the first time growing up. I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen, and it wasn't supposed to be, So there's that. My Bob Newhart homage won't come until season 2, but I'm really, really looking forward to doing that one because it's very, very conceptual, and I can't really say anything more. I don't want to let it out of the bag just yet.
Gotcha.
But I'm looking forward to getting to that point.
So from the creative standpoint, and again, this goes for anybody who's interested in doing self-publishing and creating their own comic books, kind of like what we talked about at the Garry show. Like, what's the window? Like so you have your season mapped out for you already. Looking at that window, what's your timetable? Season 1, when do you want to have season 1 completed and out by? And how do you pace yourself to hit your own? You're a one-man show here. How do you pace yourself so you can set those deadlines for yourself?
Well, the independent cartoonists I've talked to so far, it seems like every 2 years they produce an issue.
Gotcha.
That's not good enough for me. I will be doing, starting in 2026, I will release minimum 1 issue a year. At the very, very least, I'll get out one episode. If I can do more, I'll do it. That's one of the reasons I kept the issues black and white. The only color in the book is the front cover. It's just, plus with my work, I just felt it like it didn't need color right now.
Yeah, no, I think in the black and white format, it works.
Yeah. And also when I did the graphic novel experiment, I really tried hard to be a comic book cartoonist, and all those tips and tricks that I practiced when I was doing comic strips, I shelved. And that was the biggest mistake I ever made, because that's what it comes naturally to me. So when I did this pilot episode of Being Gordy, I went back to what I knew, what felt right, and that included keeping it black and white for now. If I'm successful enough and I get season 1, completely done, maybe I'll do a graphic novel reprint of all 6 issues.
Collected edition.
Yeah, a collected edition. I'll hire a colorist to, you know, color it to make it different. But for me, as a one-man show, for too many practical purposes, it's just going to stay black and white.
Yeah, but again, it works. I don't mean to do the comparison, but even go reading through the book and stuff,
Mhm.
and the relationships that like it almost has like a Clerks feel, you
Yeah,
know.
sure.
So when you even looking at the characters, like they could fit in that black and white world
Yep.
quite nicely. And then talking about like the newspaper part of it, for the most part, going back to newspaper and comic strips. I mean, again, growing up as a kid, much different time that we're in now, but
Yeah.
it was a treat on Sundays to get the color comic strips because the rest of the days they were all black and white
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah.
unless you saw Sunday, Garfield was always not orange, right? I mean, you kind
Yeah.
of knew he was, but
Yeah.
so that's that like you said, it's what and that what works well for you. So
Yeah.
why steer away from that? No, I think it works. I
I
don't
do.
think the black and white, the flow is good in the book, and certainly, the artwork, and you've got a really good style of your art too. Like you talk about like Doonesbury, but you your characters fit in. I mean, I'm even thinking about the little sketch you did for me there too, up in the front there, or
Yep.
area. Like you are now a comic book artist, but you're also a comic strip artist. Your
Yeah.
your characters fit right into that world. You
Uh,
know,
it was important for me to make that mental leap to say, something.
yeah,
This is going to be its own thing.
yeah,
I can't fit into some other pre-existing mold.
yeah.
And yeah, it's a comic book, but it's okay to practice those comic strip rules here and there.
Well, I mean, when you really think about it, a lot of you know, like comic strips were really the beginning of it, and obviously political cartoons and things like that. Comic books came along later on,
Yeah.
but and then, I mean, look at Spider-Man and some of the other superheroes. I know Spider-Man's probably the biggest one that made the transfer over to comic strip, right? Because they were do. I don't know if they
Yep.
still do the weekly one, you know. And the comic strip, and I have a couple of other friends who do comic strips too. It's kind of a dying art, sadly,
It
because
is.
like you said, the newspaper, that was it. I remember when I was in high school. You and I are probably around the same age. Like, high school, middle school, I would read the newspaper in the morning, and
Yeah.
I'd get through all the stuff, and just like everybody else, you'd make your way over to the comic strips, and you'd have the certain ones you'd read. Some of them you'd pass over, but there are at least a good 2 or 3 pages in most newspapers of that. And not that they don't exist now, but you really have to go looking for them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, this goes, I think, with any creative arts. We had that other gentleman on there who wrote novels.
Mhm.
I think we are in a world today which is so full of content,
Yeah.
so content rich, whatever it is, whether it
Yes.
be music, whether it be television and movies, I mean, like podcasts like this, right? There's just
Yeah.
so much out there. So people have to find it, and you do it, and you hope people come to you, and you hope that they like what you do, So for
Yeah.
some people, it's like a therapeutic thing to just do their creativity thing, get it out there. There's a lot
Mhm.
of people. I think I share with you. My day job is working in a school, and I have this conversation with kids all the time. I'm going to be a famous YouTuber and TikToker, and it's like, cool. What is going to make you stand out? That people have not done already. But I mean, and that goes for all of us who dabble in this creative thing. But I think just finding your voice and going from there is like, taking the first step and producing.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
It took me a long time to figure out this property. I always felt like I had something with it, but I just didn't force it. I use the word organically a lot. I just, let it flow. And then finally, like I said, about 2018 or so, right before COVID,
Hmm.
and that little voice in my head said, just write your damn TV show.
Yeah.
I just needed to make that mental leap, and it's been bliss since. Creatively for me, it's just been wonderful.
Yeah. And that goes into one thing that was once told to me, and I'm sure as an artist, you know this. There's a lot of people who are either visual artists or writers, and they're working on something, they get frustrated with it. This sucks. I'm gonna crumple it up and throw it away. Never ever. And I'm sure same thing, you same advice to people. Don't throw things away. Like just put it off to the side. And like you said that you had that little like thing that popped in there, just write your sitcom, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it'll come. And then because if you threw that away, it's like, well, now what am I going to? But
exactly. Yeah,
you can always put things to the side, and when the time is right, come back to it and go and pursue it.
exactly. I did give myself like a year after I shelved the graphic novel
Hmm.
version. I went back to it and just sat down and read through it. I had about 20, at least 20 different places that I wasn't happy with it.
Hmm.
And then the final third, which was like 50 pages,
Hmm.
I was just like, this is a no. There was just too much there to correct, too much to change. And that's why, one of the reasons why I shelved it. I just said, this was a training. I'm looking at this like a training exercise. What was good about it? What was bad? And then I just shelved it. And I didn't have the inspiration yet, hadn't hit to do what I'm doing now. But I knew I was doing the right thing by shelving that. And then I just kind of drifted until that little voice in my head said, go write your TV show. I just needed time, I guess, to percolate in my brain, in my subconscious.
Yeah.
And then I'm just grateful it finally came,
Yeah. Now let me ask you too. So I mean, obviously, just write your sitcom, right? So, I mean, long term, I'm sure that you would love to take this book and all the ones that come afterwards and go and pitch it to like a Netflix. Is that something that you would love to do at some point? Netflix, a ABC, a Hulu. I mean, at this point now we have to talk about the streaming people, right? Because that's really
Yeah.
where everything is. But
Yeah,
is that a goal of yours one day with being Gordy?
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The final, if in my ultimate dream would be to see uh, a live version of Being Gordy, a situation comedy shot in front of a live studio audience. That
Gotcha. 'Cause that's
format.
gonna be my question now. Would you do live or animated at this point?
I've had several people tell me they'd love to see an animated version, and I wouldn't discount that, but just to, if you're shooting it with live actors,
Yeah.
that's where all the happy accidents happen, all the surprises happen, the bloopers, and just the being in a writer's room, you
Yeah.
know, eh, that would be the ultimate dream for me.
Well, I mean, and just as we're sitting here, because I always get the creative things going. I'm thinking for you, it'd be really kind of cool. Maybe you've thought about this already.
What?
You know, doing like a lot mentioned a live theater, like up where you are, maybe reaching out to like a theaters group and
Doing a table read?
doing a
Yeah.
table read or putting it on stage. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you could. It lends itself for something like that. And again, we live in this world where anything's possible now, right?
Hey,
It could be
you
a
know,
YouTube show.
yeah, I'd certainly be open to,
Yeah,
to at least thinking about it, um, I'm only a year in, so there's still a lot of firsts to be had,
of course.
you know?
Of course. I mean, like as a table read, would you feel that this would read as a strong script, out of like if you would put it into like a script format, whether it be a theater or television kind of script?
Would it be well, I would just, I just
Leave a
think
comment.
yeah, when I'm writing it, I write it, I'm thinking, because if you noticed, it's very wordy. I'm not
Yeah.
afraid to be wordy. The dialogue, the script is very important. I'm thinking of it in my head like a TV show. So that's just how I write it. And if I were to do an actual, if I was doing the writing for an actual TV show, it
Mhm.
just wouldn't be any different. It would just be the same.
Yeah.
You know?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask you also too, in the book, so anybody who picks up your book, there are a lot of, I guess, Easter eggs, background pictures, like, Tom Hanks makes an appearance in there, obviously The Odd Couple. How do you work those all, like, what creatively, how do you work all those things into your story? So, and I'm assuming, as you shared, your F Troop, your Mary Tyler Moore, you're gonna have those little nods in there, plus some other ones. How do you work those other little, like, pop culture-y gags or Easter eggs into there?
Okay. So I used Tom Hanks briefly in the pilot episode because I needed a celebrity, a known celebrity, but also I needed to make use of a film that actually exists, because in the world of being Gordy, like me, is an independent cartoonist, but the difference between him and I is he's got this closeted life as a Hollywood writer producer that he just doesn't wear it on his sleeve, and so far he's been very, very successful with it. I like the idea of flipping the concept of the starving artist, because that's what the comic strip version of Being Gordy was. It was more like a slice of life thing. And one day I said, something, if I totally changed that, where he's always winning to the point where people are getting really pissed, that's funny. I can have some fun with that. And I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. We were talking about
the Tom Hanks and
oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. So oh God. Okay. So one of the things you'll see in the future issues of Being Gordy is there's a development with his character where he gets invited to put his spin on these pre-existing properties, like this Tom Hanks film, Larry Crown, which was, and I actually love the film, which is why I wanted to use it in Being Gordy, paying homage to things I love.
Definitely one of his lesser known films.
Yeah. And it's one he wrote and directed himself.
Yeah.
And it's this wonderfully, probably if you were to sum up that film in one word, charming. It's charming. And the thing about Gordy as a filmmaker, everything he produces is just awful, just crap. But he seems to make millions at it. And so, unlike reality, he pitches a three sequels to the film Larry Crown, and they actually get made, and he made a ton of money. But in this universe, it also tanked Tom Hanks's career. Gordy is an agent of chaos.
Well, I will say I like the communication that he has with Tom Hanks here too, and because you really do dive deep into that conversation. Here it is, our national treasure, Tom Hanks' response. I think that's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. I did, when I released Being Gordy a year ago, I did find an address online to try and get a copy of this in his hands. It was through his publicist, supposedly. Yeah. I mailed it, but I never heard back. Who knows if it even made his office.
Yeah, and again, you never know. Imagine it makes there and it becomes the next Playtone production, right? There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, it wouldn't suck for sure. There are just certain things that just, one of the writing things I definitely do is write what you know and write about the things you love.
Yeah.
I love The Odd Couple, which is why I did the first episode as the homage to that. I love Larry Crown. So, it just kind of all flowed together. When
Yeah.
if I needed a film, I chose Larry Crown. Um, there are other Easter eggs, like in the shot of Gordy's big fancy living room of his Manhattan apartment. There's a giant framed movie poster of
Oh yeah.
a film called Age of Consent. I had to look at my actual wall.
Yes.
It's a favorite film of mine, and I said, something, you populate the set with the things that matter to you.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I think as from the creative standpoint, that's what makes probably easy for you and for everybody else who's in this creative world. You're writing about stuff that you love,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it comes from the heart. So it's honest, it's true, and I think that's what's important there.
Writing the outlines for Being Gordy and making that leap to where every episode is going to be an homage to something. Oh, so much fun. I've got a Twilight Zone tribute, a
Hmm.
Seinfeld tribute, a Taxi tribute.
Oh boy.
Um, oh God. And it just the list goes on. And there were some really weird turns because, um, I really love older television from when I grew up. There was a show called Room 222.
I remember it.
Okay. I've got an homage to that. I just uh, paying tribute to television in that way was just it just once I made that leap to write like in that about that or let that influence me, it just it flowed.
Yeah.
It just flowed.
Some people, I got a couple of we got Brady Bunch listed here. Happy Days, Gilligan's Island. Some people, one of our people watching wrote that.
Brady Bunch, Happy Days. God, oh man, beautiful TV show.
Yeah, even when it was bad, it was good.
Yeah, it's interesting that Garry Marshall did that show, and
Mhm.
he considers that the best one he ever did, which I thought it would have been the Odd Couple. He didn't see the Odd Couple that way. He saw that as his training ground.
Gotcha.
That was interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, we talk about all these old shows, and again, we can talk about like the bad of the bad. I don't think there's any bad Happy Days. Like
No,
people
no.
are like, oh, after I have some diehard friends of mine who are like, season 1, 2, maybe a little into 3 and 4 is like good Happy Days, and everything else was garbage
Yeah.
after that. And then obviously once the Richie and all them and Chachi and Joni loves Chachi, right? But it's all good. But there's something to be said about a lot of these shows, and I would say six definitely the 60s, because the 50s was a whole different kind of television. That was more of your Milton Berle, Sid Caesar, your those kind of
Yep.
shows.
Yep.
In the 60s you got your Gilligan's Islands, your Bewitched,
Mm.
Monsters, then like Mayberry, and like the homie, I guess, what'd you call it, like those down home comedies. I forget what there was a name that they preferred them. They had those shows. 70s, we talked about Norman Lear, and that was a very, very popular kind of format. But then you also, in the 70s, you had Taxi, you had Odd Couple, you had the Garry Marshall shows. 80s was interesting. I mean, must see TV, right? I mean, you had Cheers, you had Seinfeld, but then you still had like your traditional camera shows like the Golden Girls,
Yep.
or A&N and things like that.
Yeah.
Like your NBC, and even ABC, the TGIF lineup, right? And
Yep.
but I think, I don't want to say and I'll ask you, do you feel like sitcoms have gotten? I mean, and the traditional sitcom doesn't exist anymore, but like sitcoms, I feel like maybe got too smart, or they were trying too hard to tell a longer story, as opposed to, like, you're saying, open and end in the same episode, right?
Well, streaming has definitely affected
Yeah.
it. I mean, streaming, there's a lot of good to it, there's a lot of bad.
Yeah.
And one of the bad is the way that it's taken away from network television.
100%.
There are still a few sitcoms being made, live action in front of us, a live audience. The latest one that comes to mind is the show on NBC called Happy's Place. It's the new Reba McEntire sitcom, and I've watched it, and it's very good. I like it. It's just that you can tell it's the formula. Takes place in a bar. The characters coming in and out. It's like watching theater. It's beautiful. Do we need more of that? Absolutely. Yeah. I think, frankly, if the networks, if they want to exist, they need to find things, and I think situation comedy should be one of those things that they really focus hard on to make that like their thing, as opposed to streaming services. Because frankly, I don't see sitcoms doing well, at least a new show on a streaming service.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example, and I think it was such a huge misstep. And I know my wife and I get into this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the new Frasier. I liked the 2 seasons they did of that, but like I think had they put that on to like CBS or NBC, I think it would have had a solid run. But streaming kind of killed it a bit, I think.
I agree with you. I was mixed in the beginning, but I actually liked the new characters.
Yeah,
new setting
a little bit.
And yeah, I agree with you 100%. If they had that, it's similar to like okay, I don't like Star Trek movies because Star Trek was a TV show.
Yeah,
and the things that have been successful with Star Trek have been, the TV shows. Yeah, they've done a few films here and there, but Star Trek was meant to be television. Yeah. Sitcoms should be on regular network television, not on a streaming service. Yeah. So you and I are in big agreement there.
Yeah, because and again, a sitcom, and again, it's people's, especially the viewing audience is so many young people nowadays too. And again, dare I say, because we're you and I are of the older sorts and our parents' ages and stuff. That's why a show like Frasier would thrive on network TV, because older people aren't really always tuned in. I mean, of course, people like us are, but not a lot of the older audiences aren't tuned into all the streaming services, right? So are the young kids, like when we were in high school, going to necessarily find Frasier? Probably not. But there would be an audience for it, and
there would be an audience for it. Yeah.
And I think other sitcoms, there'd be like, look, again, taking point. I liked it, but I think it became too episodic. I think the Conners came back very strong, and I mean, and they picked themselves up after Roseanne had left the show after that first season, but they were on 6 years at least, something like that.
It was 6 seasons, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and yes, did they become? As a sitcom, like you said, has to begin and end, and they really pulled these longer storylines out, but it worked. Night Court had a 2-3 year run when they came back. So,
and that wasn't on network; that was on Peacock, I think.
No, it was actually on NBC.
Oh, was it?
Okay. I saw a couple of episodes. And then it aired on Peacock, and that's the thing, is that you have to buy these subscription services to watch the show. So of course, you're going to miss out if you don't have that. Because I'm trying to just think of other sitcoms that have come back and maybe haven't been good. Like I'm just thinking Saved by the Bell, which was another reboot. They did a reboot for Peacock, which was only on Peacock, and they died out very quickly. So it's just very, very interesting the way television works now,
and I think it's still going to change, frankly, because of what you were just saying. I'm in agreement with you. There are too many streaming services.
Yeah,
I don't want to I don't want to spend a ton of money subscribing to every stupid little service.
Yeah,
I find it really annoying.
Again, that's what it is. It's
and I think at some point, the weaker ones are going to die, and like we're seeing now,
Paramount and
Warner Brothers is up for sale. Whether it's Netflix or Paramount, who knows? But the big ones are going to merge and merge and merge. But Frank, I'm hoping, I would like to see regular network television
Yeah.
make a comeback, and I think there's a possibility of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have a streaming service like Peacock that can support the network.
I think that's what works. That would work the best. And again, same thing going back to Frasier. That they could have been like, all right, cool. Frasier airs tonight and then streams on Paramount the next day.
I think one of the things of modern Star Trek that didn't work was it wasn't on television. It went right to Paramount Plus.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I would like to see television, at least the network broadcast television, go the route of turntables.
Yeah.
Whoever expected that there would be a market for vinyl today?
$40 vinyl.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No one wants CDs, but they want the really nice vinyl. Go figure.
And they'll pay $40, $50 for their Sabrina Carpenter vinyl, right?
Yeah. You can walk into Barnes and Noble, you'll see a little shelf of CDs, but you'll see an entire area of vinyl.
Crazy.
But I think it's, in a way, it's crazy, but it's also great.
Yeah, no doubt. I get into this argument, and I mean, we were talking before about my physical media collection, and this goes back to the sitcoms we were talking about. Is I fully support physical media. A lot of people are like, oh, streaming, and I get it. Like, I've got a wall here, space, 100%. But we sit here, we're talking about Bob Newhart, we're talking about Taxi, we're talking about the Norman Lear shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you watch them now, right? You have like, I mean, they don't air really on like you were talking about F Troop coming home and putting on TV and watching reruns of F Troop. I grew up watching Munsters, Lucy, Gilligan, all that stuff. Coming home after school, you would catch these shows. I know Brady Bunch was mentioned before too. Like all these shows that were before our time, we caught in like syndication and reruns, and the streaming things, even though they own the rights, like, and we'll use Paramount, and I'll mention like Brady's and Happy Days. Paramount has Happy Days. There's 11 seasons of Happy Days on there. They have a handful of episodes. Why are they not showing all 11 seasons? Like that's the thing. And some of these shows, like I have my All in the Family box set, I have my Alf box set, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not readily available, but that's not just necessarily TV shows. It's movies too. A lot of the classics, like, they're just not accessible. And young people today who are next generation of creatives, like you are making this comic book based on the shows that shaped you as a young person. You caught a lot of these shows second, third, fourth run. As you're older, and like we talk about this, we're very media driven in my household, but I guess you grew up in New England, and I'm assuming it was probably the same as it was down here in New York. But like on a Sunday afternoon, especially like in the winter months, nobody's outside, but like you would be home, and like whatever here was Channel 5 or Channel 11 was, are not major networks. Like the local networks, they would maybe have a block, like, and I guess MeTV to some extent has it now, or MeTV or TV Land, but they're still showing like Everybody Loves Raymond and the more recent programs. But even movie wise, like the afternoon movie would be like, maybe something from like the 60s or the 70s, and like, like a goofy like 80s comedy like My Blue Heaven or Harry Crumb, something like that. So you were exposed to seeing all these different things. And again, I'm sure you flip through the television now, and we were joking about this the other day. It's like, oh, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is on. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is on like probably every other day. Or like on a Saturday, probably even like tonight, you can go scrolling down your TV menu, and probably like on 4 or 5 different channels, there's 4 or 5 different Marvel movies, or the Star Wars, it's Fast and the Furious. They just keep showing those same things over again. So all these other titles, right, all this other stuff, the content that people worked hard, is just so lost because nobody's tuning in for it. Nobody's looking for it. And again, same thing with physical media, the Blockbuster. We all went into the Blockbuster or the local video store. You made a commitment that night.
Yeah.
You looked around. Now it's like, oh, I'm on Netflix. Oh, this thing's boring in 5 minutes. Now I'm done.
Yeah.
You know? So that's my little soapbox on media. But I think you get it.
I do. I
You
do. There's some good in the place we're in right now, which is we're living in a world of instant gratification.
Yes. Yes.
You know, it's got its pros, it's got its cons too.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and you know, all this work that people did is just gone. You know,
Yeah.
and lost. You know, we mentioned Norman Lear. Like he was a iconic, great legend, and you know,
Yeah.
it's just
1970s situation comedy television. He was one of the owners.
yeah.
Top
I mean,
3 producers. There wasn't. I don't think there was a year in the 70s where he didn't have at least one program on the air.
yeah,
And that's insane because you're lucky if you can get the one program.
correct.
And you look at the list of what he produced. It's just insane.
Yeah. I mean, and even just thinking comedy, early situation comedies, right? This weekend is Dick Van Dyke's birthday, 100th birthday, right? And you think about like, and I mean, and he's one in a million, right? He's at least people are still appreciating him, you know, and the work that he did. But
his show, while it wasn't in my top 5 for specific reasons,
yeah,
it would be like number 6.
Yeah,
like way up there.
Exactly.
He did one of the most sophisticated situation comedies before it was really a thing.
And Mary Tyler Moore was in there with him too. There you go.
And yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, there's a market. There's it's you know, it's history, and, you know, and I'm glad there's people like you who are out here, you know, trying to spread that history of these long forgotten shows, these long forgotten people at this point now too.
Yeah.
You know,
I love, as you've noticed in the back of the pilot episode, I love just talking, having an essay or two where I'm talking about the show I'm paying tribute to, and, you know, reflecting on it, you know.
I like the stuff about Angie and Love American Style, like
you know, it's it feels right, and I'm really enjoying doing it that way.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I'm flipping through here, and I'm just seeing the little thing about Angie here, right? And it just that ad, not Angie though. Well, yeah, I guess the Angie have the Mork and Mindy one, but then the Love American Style, but it has like the Brady Bunch, Odd Couple, Room 222, and Adam's Rib and Love American Style. What that also throws me back, and it goes to what we were talking about before we were on the air, like another dying thing or dead thing that kids don't get today. Is like they don't know the joy of Saturday morning.
I know. It's so sad. Oh, it's so sad.
The joy of, as horrible as those shows were, but it's just like what it was, right?
As a kid, I used to get so excited to see what the new Saturday morning cartoons were going to be. What was Hanna-Barbera going to or Hanna-Barbera going to be
what
offering?
What show are they going to make?
You know, Herculoids, Space Ghost. Yeah. Oh, I love that stuff.
Yeah, and it was listen, and we all know it was not that good. Most of it was not that good. It was good for what it was. So I'm not crapping on Hercules. I have those, but it was just there was just something so I don't even know, ridiculous, weird about it, because I've been showing my 2 younger kids these Saturday morning shows, and a fun thing we could talk about in regards to the sitcom, like you're writing a situation comedy, which was meant to be a live action show, your TV show. Think about, and this was a very late 70s, mostly 80s thing, and Hanna-Barbera was the main culprit of this. It's like, oh, cool, let's do a Happy Days cartoon. Why not? Fonz is going time traveling. Why not, right?
Yeah. Oh, the Harlem Globetrotters had a cartoon.
Super Globetrotters, yeah.
Yeah. Happy Days had a cartoon. The Partridge Family. Laverne and Shirley joined the army.
With Horshack as the pig. We just finished watching that not that long ago. I'm like, what the hell is this garbage?
Yeah,
it's garbage.
It was, you know, again, pre-internet and pre-streaming. Yeah. If you wanted to do a sequel to one of these popular shows, you know, it became animated. Yeah.
Well, you know the story about the Partridge Family cartoon. I don't know if you
I
know this story.
I don't think so. No.
But it's Partridge Family 2200 AD, which we're almost to, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but so what that was, so in the 70s, and again, Hanna-Barbera was good, and I think there's a couple of stories behind it. Originally, they were going to do a new Jetsons TV series. So they had done Pebbles and Bam Bam at that time period,
Yeah.
and so I guess Hanna-Barbera's like, cool, because and whatever, they had their core characters, so I guess there was some interest in doing a Jetsons TV series. So you can go online and you can find the artwork, because it was I guess Elroy and Astro were going to be. I guess Elroy and Astro were, well, Elroy's gonna be a little older, and Judy was gonna be a little, and they were gonna kind of be like investigative journalists getting involved. So a lot of the designs and the friends that ended up being in the Partridge Family cartoon were friends of, older Judy and Elroy and Astro. And so, like, I guess like many of the way some of these Hanna-Barbera shows come about is Joe Barbera went to the network, said, we want to do a new Jetsons TV show. And the network was like, that we'd like that idea. And they were also like, but Partridge Family is really popular too. So Joe Barbera in all his glory, this is what he, I believe, did with a lot of his shows. If you want to do Partridge Family, we could do how about we just mash them up?
Yeah.
and that was born. And that's from somebody once told me a story that that's what it was. The network, he'd go in there with a bunch of ideas. They liked this idea, they liked that idea. And instead of doing 3 separate shows, let's just put it all in one thing. And this is how it worked. Or he would go in there and it would be like 1985, and he would pitch a Yogi Bear cartoon that they did like in 1963. The network would think it was fantastic, and they would run with that again.
Didn't they do? There was a Gilligan's Island.
That was Filmation. They did the New Adventures of Gilligan and Gilligan's Planet.
Yeah. Okay. So there were 2 of them. Yeah.
Yes. Hold on. I'll even go. They're here in the library. Filmation. And again, so we could go on great tangents. So we have the New Adventures of Gilligan.
Yeah.
And then they did Gilligan's Planet. Which, again, you brought me up into a whole other now classic TV mode. But yeah, so the only person that didn't come back for those were Tina Louise. Everybody else was back for that.
That's right.
And but here's an interesting trope. And now we're going off on a TV tangent, but again, I'll share. My wife is from England. She doesn't understand all of American television, so I had to introduce her to the Bradys. Over COVID, I introduced her because she was watching HGTV, and she's like, "Who the hell are these people invading my channel?" That was when they were doing the remodeling of the Brady house. If you remember,
yes, I remember that. Yeah.
So COVID was an excellent time to buy the Ultimate Brady box set. But and God bless Sherwood Schwartz, because he was doing it before. I mean, they were talking. We were sitting here talking about the Connors and Frasier. Sherwood Schwartz, for instance, you had the original Brady series.
Yeah.
Right now, yes, they did the Brady Kids cartoon, which is also Filmation, not that good. And then they did the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, I haven't seen all of those, but I have a couple of them on DVD. I liked it. That was Sid and Marty Krofft, and I guess he wasn't involved with it. And that had its own issues. But sure, I want to say Sherwood Schwartz was probably one of the first of these classic TV people to create that wonderful thing called the reunion movie, right? Because he did Rescue from Gilligan's Island, and then they get shipwrecked at the end. Spoiler alert, folks! They get shipwrecked at the end of it, and on the same island, which then opens up the second movie, The Castaways of Gilligan's Island, which ties into the other thing you were talking about before, where then they've been on this island for like 15 years at this point, and they uncover airplanes. So they build and they put together an airplane, go up into the sky. I don't know if you remember these. And when they come, the engines, Gilligan falls out of the plane, of course. They land back, Coast Guard sees them, follows them back, rescues them once again, and so we're not going to get stranded anymore. Mr. Howell's like, you know what? We're going to open this up as a hotel now.
Okay.
Which was a backdoor pilot, because they wanted to do like a Love Boat style series.
I remember that.
With the Castaways.
I thought it was actually clever at the time.
And they did a third movie in 1981, which was the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island.
Yep, I remember that.
Which was really like Love Boat, because then you had the Harlem Globetrotters were there, and then Martin Landau and Barbara Bain from Mission Impossible. They were rivals of the Howells who wanted to steal this like resource on Gilligan's Island. But you had that. Then you had like Return to Mayberry. But and then back to Sherwood Schwartz. Then you had the Brady Brides. Well, first they did the Brady Girls Get Married movie. Then they did the Brady Brides, and then they did the Very Brady Christmas movie, which I need to watch this year. Thank you for reminding me of this. Okay. Which then turned into like, that was in the time of 30 something. If you remember that generation of television where they did the Bradys, where it was like it was like a dramedy TV series.
Well, yeah. They literally, if there was a way to put a spin on the Brady property, they did it.
Well, and I will tell you, and you could, there's a lot to the story. I guess Paramount did approach the six of them about doing yet another incarnation, the Six Kids, which I believe fell through. I don't think it'll come back again. But I in the last couple of years, I could tell you a little bit more about it later on. But they were gonna do another Brady series with them, which why not, right? Who the hell cares? But but the reunion movie, they don't do those anymore either. So
yeah, I miss TV movies.
Yeah, like the TV movie of the week, yeah. There was like a cheesy TV reunion movie, or just But that's the thing. It's like
it's a different. It's weird seeing in one lifetime the landscape of television change so dramatically. But I don't like I said, it's just my opinion, but I don't think we're through watching it evolve.
Yeah. Well, look, we went through the whole reality TV thing for a while too. That was and that I mean, it's still there, but that came, and that really did kill a lot of what television was.
Yeah.
Because it was cheap and easy to make.
Yeah.
And but that kind of died quickly. Well, not quickly, but relatively quickly. I think the only thing that really survived from that was like Dancing with the Stars, because Survivor's gone at this point too. I don't think Survivor and Big Brother are on anymore.
I don't know, because I just tuned it all out.
Exactly. It was fun like in the beginning. It was a little kitschy thing, but that's it.
Growing up, I used to love every fall. I'd be with my mom helping her with the groceries in the supermarket.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
We're checking out, and there's the at the checkout counter, the fall new fall guide, TV guide, the new fall
double sized.
Yes, and that was like the holy grail of the season, to buy that and to see all these new TV shows that were being offered. Oh, I loved it.
And because it was double sized, and again, for people who don't know what TV Guide was, it was this little digest form book, which was essentially whatever I don't know what you even call it now, compare it to now, but it would have your TV listings, but mostly in black and white. But that fall TV preview book, right, for all the new shows, like that front part, which was why it was double sized, that was all in color.
Yeah.
Those pictures are all in
Every
color.
network was doing big ad campaigns of all their new shows. It was beautiful.
And they would go to like Monday night, and you'd have all the new shows on each show would get its own page. Oh yeah. I may have one or two of those still around. I saved a couple of TV guides that I have in my storage. So.
Well, I actually went on eBay and bought a stack of them when I was working on the pilot issue.
Yeah.
Of Being Gordy, because the ad campaign I did to promote it online.
Yeah.
I let TV Guide influence me. I always loved those simple black and white ads.
Yeah.
From a creative standpoint, it just had an impact on me. So I wanted to really get a close look at those issues. Mm-hmm. And I created a media campaign as I was working on the first issue. And it's evolved. I'm going to be doing something similar but different for issue 2. But it all comes from those early the influence, the direct influence, are TV black and white TV guide ads from the 1970s and 1980s.
Yeah, they were so simple but so good.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it's just, and God, I know I have like clippings of TV guides somewhere. I have like a bunch of things still from when I was younger, but I do have a bunch of TV guides. I have some of the Star Trek TV guides still. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yep.
all good stuff. Oh my God. So, well, listen, we went well over our hour, so that's fine. But this is
All
good.
good.
We should come back and talk more TV.
Anytime. I loved it. I could go on for hours, seriously.
Oh, yeah. So, but I want to tell everybody, we have some people who've been watching. Somebody's talking about Hanna-Barbera. Michelle Ruff. This ring with some Michelle Ruff approves a Star Trek and Sailor Moon crossover. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sure. Michelle Ruff, she played oh gosh, the new character in Picard. I forget what her name was. Raffi, I think it was Raffi. I don't remember. The girl, woman who's with 7 of 9. Anyways, but for anybody who's tuning in or before we head out, definitely go to www.beinggordy.com, and you can get your copies of Being Gordy, a situation comedy there, right?
Yep,
And there's a bunch of other merch on there as well. Season 2 will be, or not season 2, episode 2 will be coming out sometime in 2026, I guess.
Yep. If you follow me on social media, I will be previewing the cover very soon, and
Excellent.
just other bits of previews to issue 2 as it becomes real.
Yeah. So lots of good stuff, and we'll definitely have you come back on, and we'll talk some more
Excellent.
TV. And this was a hoot tonight. But so thank you again, Dave, and you just hang out once we end the show. We'll chat backstage for a minute. But thank you again, everybody, for watching, and Dave, thank you so much again for joining us tonight. And get Being Gordy. It's a great book. Good night, everyone.